I want to introduce you to one of the key role players in this year's expedition. The bear's name is the Grinch. She has kind of an aggressive attitude. If I turn around too much, she'll bite me. It's okay. Hi, how are you? Don't you do that. Don't you do that. Back off.
Timothy Treadwell, an American animal enthusiast who had an unsurpassed love for bears. His dedication and life were both committed to protecting them.
That's my brand.
On October 5th, 2003, the remains of Treadwell and his girlfriend Amy Huguenard were both found in the stomach of a 28-year-old bear. Their skeletal remains were found soon after by park rangers. He was slain by the bears he desperately swore to serve and protect. For 13 years, Treadwell visited and wrote books about them. In the last 5 years, he started documenting them with a video camera at numerous national parks. According to a book he wrote titled Among Grizzlies, Living with Wild Bears in Alaska, after his first encounter with a wild bear, he knew he found his calling in life, and his destiny was entwined with those of the bears. He also speaks about surviving an almost fatal heroin overdose and attributes his recovery from drug addiction entirely to his relationship with bears. When at the parks, Treadwell often got dangerously close to them, from petting them and even playing with their cubs. Treadwell refused to install electric fences around his camp or carry bear spray, citing terrible grief over the pain he perceived it had caused the bears. Tom Smith, a research ecologist, said Treadwell was breaking every park rule that there was in terms of distance to the bears, harassing wildlife, and interfering with natural processes.
I must hide from the authorities. I must hide from people who would harm me. I must now even hide from people that seek me out because I've made some sort of, I don't want to say celebrity, but they come here to Alaska and they hear about Treadwell in the bush and they want to go find him. Well, they can't. I'm hidden down below.
On the night of his death, his video camera was recording, but the lens cap was still on, recording the sounds of a struggling, dying Treadwell and the screams of Amy Huguenard as they fought desperately against the bear. After his death, few praised him for his efforts in his documentation of the bears, most pointing out his carelessness and arrogance, and for bringing along his innocent girlfriend, eventually leading to her death. Timothy Treadwell loved and idolized the bears. He lived for the bears. He served the bears, and the bears became his god. According to the dictionary, the definition of idolatry is the worship of idols or excessive devotion to or reverence for some person or thing. But an idol can be anything that replaces God. Timothy idolized bears. Idolatry doesn't just mean bowing to statues and worshiping them. It also means lusting, desiring anything more than God. And we can make anything an idol. Music can be your idol, cars, food, and here's a popular one, money, which is a god for many. But being rich in itself isn't necessarily idolatry. There were righteous men and women in the Bible who were wealthy. But those who desire to be rich fall into temptation, into a snare, into many senseless and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. It is through this craving that some have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many pangs. When we give our heart to things of this world, to satisfy or comfort us rather than seeking God, that's where we mess up. Rather than turning to God for comfort and fulfilling the empty void in our life, giving us a lasting happiness, we search for satisfaction in things. Hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars later, you learn that the things of this world give you temporary joy. And just like a drug, you'll need more of it to get that short burst of happiness. And then you're right back where you were, depressed and feeling empty, feeling like you don't have a purpose in life. What about our jobs? Is your career your life? Do you live, breathe, and fill your heart with work? Do you choose your career or Jesus Christ? I was at a crossroad in my life and was posed with that same question. God will sometimes bring you low so He can raise you up. Don't let your career consume you and distract you from God's will for your life. Commit your work to the Lord, and He will establish your plans. Do you have an idol in your life? Ask yourself, does it meet your needs more than God? Do you trust it more than God? Does it give you a sense of satisfaction when you go to it? Do you run to it before you run to God? You know, idolatry starts in the heart. So who does your heart belong to? I have a friend who's made an idol out of video games. He finds joy and happiness in them. He can play them for hours and hours a day. But I ask my brother, who has your heart? God or the video games? Guard your heart from idols. Paul says in the book of Colossians, "Put to death, therefore, what is earthly in you, sexual immorality, impurity, passion, evil desire, and covetousness, which is idolatry." Put on then, as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, compassionate hearts, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience, bearing with one another. And if one has a complaint against another, forgiving each other, as the Lord has forgiven you. so you must also forgive. And above all these, put on love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. And let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, to which indeed you were called in one body. And be thankful. Let the Lord Jesus Christ be in your heart. Let the love of Christ dwell in you. Because when we surrender ourselves to the Lord, there's no room for idolatry in our heart.